What is up? I'll be live with my face cam in just a second. But just know I am here. Nothing to worry about. Like I said, we'll be getting started in just a second. All right. We'll go to the main view. All right. What is up, guys? This is going to be, let me hide my screen for a second. This is going to be a little live chat that I think I'm going to start doing every Sunday. I think that's the plan right now. So yeah, I know I have neglected this YouTube channel a little bit recently, and that is something I no longer want to do. For a while, I don't know. I think I got a little burnt out on YouTube. I think I was just expecting a little too much in terms of what I was hoping to get out of YouTube and what I got. But after a little bit of reflection and some time away, I just realized, hey, I actually really enjoy doing it. So, in addition to doing YouTube, I also plan on, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, doing these Sunday live streams every once in a while. Or every Sunday, I think would be the end goal here. One second while I check out some stuff. All right. So where do I want to start first? Whoops. Okay. So, hold on. I need to... Let me make sure this doesn't break anything. It does not. Let me make sure that doesn't break anything. It does not. Cool. Sorry, just trying to get my Windows set up here correctly so I can stream the way I want to and see any chat messages that are coming in. But yeah, I was talking recently when I was streaming on Twitch about the future of education and what that is going to look like. And I think there are a lot of different directions that education can go in the future. But surprisingly, one of the biggest hurdles to education and competing education models, honestly, right now, seems to be just skepticism from people in general. And the reason I bring this up is intuitively, I thought that if there were competing education models, new ways of teaching skills, that these would kind of be well received. And surprisingly, it hasn't been. Some things like coding boot camps, let me go full screen here for a second since I'm not doing anything related to my desktop browser at the second. But shit, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so some things like coding boot camps are kind of like out in the wild, and those are something that a lot of people know about. They've heard of it. The whole learn to code movement, if you remember that on Twitter, I believe that was actually banned for a while. If you were tweeting hashtag learn to code to journalists on Twitter, that was a bannable offense. Um, but that didn't really have anything to do with the coding boot camps themselves. I don't think that was a skepticism of the coding boot camps as much as it was just this quote unquote harassment towards journalists who were telling people, "Hey, you should learn to code if you're a truck driver. Um, this is a new industry that you could enter into, and there are coding boot camps that do that." But then you have some competing models of education, like Lambda School, that I think really push what a future education system looks like. Because if you have coding boot camps, that's not that much different than what we have today. And I'll go ahead and write this out here to describe it for you guys. But if you think about the TV model today, you buy a TV subscription, you buy one package, and you get a bunch of channels you don't want, right? It doesn't word wrap, really? So I just want ESPN, Comedy Central, maybe local stations for sports, but I get HGTV, Home Shopping Network. Is that the same thing? I don't know. All of these like home renovation show. Like, point is, you get a bunch of stuff you don't want. And I just want to pay for this, but I get a bunch of other stuff that I don't want. And that's what's happening in college today. Is that you go to college and you say, "Hey, I want to learn how to program. That's all I want to know how to do. I want to get a job in programming and be able to make a living doing that." And the college doesn't give you this option. They don't say, "Oh, you want to learn how to program? Just take these courses and that will get you there." So colleges today are like TV. You pay one big price for a bunch of extra stuff you don't want. Schools in the future let you pay for what you want. That is the future of education. No longer are you going to go to college and say, "Hey, I want to be a software developer." And they say, "Okay, well, you also need to take Western civilization. You need to take American history. You need to take psychology, geology, geography." That is a relic of the past. The future is you want to learn how to program. They say, "Here's a course on HTML. Here's a course on CSS. Here's some JavaScript. Maybe you go towards backend development or front end development." It is not the model that exists today. And if colleges were so sure that their bulk package, that their version of a TV package, if they were that sure that you needed all of those other courses, don't you think you would have the flexibility or the freedom to just try out the job market? Say, "Hey, I'm going to do all of these courses in the first year and a half, the first 2 years, see where this takes me. And if I can't get a job on the market like you're saying I can't, then I'll come back and I'll take American Civ and geography and geology. And then you can prove to me that I can't get a job." But the reason they don't even give you this option is because they know it's all bullshit. If they only let you take the courses that you think you need, you would be in college for a year and a half, 2 years. You would cut the amount that you're giving the university essentially in half. That is not what they want. And that is where competing education models come in. And it blows my mind. But Lambda School, which I think should be celebrated for what they're doing, is somehow criticized left and right. most of the criticism with Lambda School comes from how they're funding your education, which, again, is one of the most perplexing parts about this all to me. I don't understand how we can be in a situation today where people are paying tens of thousands of dollars every year to go to school, get a degree, they get out, they can't get a job, and now they have tens of thousands of dollars in debt. It blows my mind that there's a competing model here that's saying, hey, let's mix this up a little bit because this doesn't seem to be working. Lambda School is trying to do that, and somehow people are actually criticizing them for this. This is actually like some bad thing to them. And I'm not saying Lambda School is for everybody. I don't think it is. And just in case you're curious, this guy right here, Austin, that I'm showing on screen, is the founder of Lambda School, but they're trying something different. What they're doing is they're giving you the opportunity to, one, not only pay for that giant package of classes that you don't think you need. If you want to pursue data science, they have data science. Actually, let me pull up their website real quick just so you can see this. If you want to pursue data science, you can pursue data science. If you want to pursue full stack development, backend development, oh my God, they even have a free course. Look at that. This is a for-profit school that has a free course right here. But then if you want to take it to the next level, you can specialize. You can say, hey, I just want to do data science. That's all I care about. And they show you exactly what you're going to learn in data science. There's no Western Civ here. There's no American Civ. There's none of this other bullshit you don't need. And you might need it one day if you get into finance or if you get into some sort of accounting firm. Then yeah, at that point, it might be worthwhile to take some of those accounting courses to add to the technical foundation you have. But when you're in college, you don't know what industry you're going to get into. You don't know if you're going to go to some startup, if you're going to go do, some software for real estate. You don't know if you're going to get into video games. You have no clue what you're doing. And colleges are like, okay, let's take all this other bullshit, like history and psychology and geography, and we're going to say that you actually need this to get your degree. Lambda School is saying, we don't think so. So not only are they reducing the courses you need to take to what you actually need to get a job, but in addition to that, and this might be a little hard to find at the moment, but what they're also doing is changing the funding model. And guys, if you're in chat, if you're watching, feel free to ask any questions if you want. Don't feel like you're interrupting the flow at all. But what Lambda School is doing is, rather than the college approach where you're paying as you're taking classes and you're hoping this is all worth it, Lambda School, oh, here it is. I actually stopped on it and I didn't think I saw it. No tuition until you're hired. That is quite a model to have when you're competing with colleges. No tuition until you're hired. If colleges did that, what, 10% of the students would pay? There would be so many people. Or the colleges would find some bullshit way to get around that. They'd be like, okay, we get it. You were pre-med, but you got a job at Starbucks, dude. Like, you can see where that would go. So Lambda School is changing this as well. They're reducing the amount of classes, and they're saying, hey, you'll only pay tuition after you start making an annual income of $50,000 or more. Monthly payments are based on what you earn. So what they're doing is they're waiting until you get a job, and then once you get that job and it's over a certain amount, then they're just taking a little bit of money off of that. And this is where people lose their minds. They go crazy. The language they use, my God, settle down, guys. They're like, oh, this is basically slavery. This is indentured servitude. They're just becoming indebted to Lambda School. It's like, okay, if you're going to make those arguments, I kind of see where you're going with it. But how is that any different than college? They don't seem to be that different. I still owe money to my college. Well, technically, I owe it to whoever did the loans. But the point being, I owe money. And for some people, this isn't going to be the ideal option for them. And that's fine. But that's the point of allowing competition in certain markets is that you have competition and now you have choices. And now you can make the decisions you want to make. If you're like, you know what? I think colleges are done. I think this whole name recognition of going to some prestigious university, I think that is trending in the wrong direction. I don't think I need that. You can do that. If you're like, you know what? I have the financial capability to pay up front and get my education, go for it. But not everybody has that. If you're somebody who's working a job, you're not in the best spot in life, you're like, dude, I need to get my shit together. I don't have the cash to do this. Lambda School is an option for somebody like you because they're saying, hey, we're going to take all of the risk up front, but we're that confident that if you do what we say, you put in the work, you get your projects made, you make your resume, you're going to get out there, you're going to get hired, and then we're going to get our cut. This is what the future should be. Not only Lambda School, there can be 50 different competing models, but there has to be something more than college. This is one step, and somehow people are criticizing this. They think this is wrong. Adrian Crenshaw, long time no stream. What's up, man? Yeah, I'm back. I am back. The pull of YouTube just kept. I couldn't get away with it. Couldn't get away from it, I should say. It's only a matter of time. Even when I stopped doing it, I was still like, I could tell I wanted to do YouTube videos. I could tell I wanted to get back to it. I don't know if I'm going to podcast the way I used to, but at the very least, I think I'm going to make YouTube videos again. And then the plan is to do these Sunday live streams. I think this is basically what's going to take the place of my podcast. I watched this guy on YouTube. Let me pull this up. The Luke Thomas live stream. Oh, look at that fellow there. Look at him. Lucas. Why did I type that? Oh, he calls it the live chat. Yeah, the Luke Thomas live chat. He's an MMA journalist, and every Friday he does a live chat that I think is really entertaining to watch. I can't wait for Friday when he does it. When he doesn't do it on some Fridays because of a crazy week, I'm irritated beyond belief. So yeah, I'm totally copying him, and I decided to do my own Sunday live stream. The other reason I stopped doing YouTube videos too, I mean, part of it was just me being a little too hard on myself, I think. I had this expectation for how fast I would grow on YouTube, and I wasn't there, and I just don't think I was patient enough. Even though I think I was making good content. A lot of the people who watched and listened to the videos said good things, but I got like so focused on subscriber numbers and how long I'd been doing it, and it was just messing with my head, and it's like, And then I also started dating this girl at the same time, and as embarrassing as it was embarrassing for me. Because it's one thing if you're like, you just met a girl, you're like really into her, you're like, yeah, so I do YouTube. And then if they're like, oh, really? If you show them a channel with like 250,000 subscribers, they're like, oh shit, this guy's actually doing it. But if you got 2,000 subscribers like me, you kind of feel a little insecure. So yeah, it was a little bit of insecurity. So it was like the imperfect timing of me kind of hitting this 2.5 year mark, the grind of YouTube, and then me meeting my current girlfriend at the same time. And it was just like the perfect out for me to be like, I don't really want to do it anyways. But in reality, I did. I was just very embarrassed about what I was doing. And not so much because I was embarrassed about what I said, like I didn't believe it, but it's just so easy for somebody to kind of discount some of the work that you're doing, or maybe her views were drastically different than mine, and then, the relationship never takes off because, yeah, I don't know. That's all it was. But yeah, Adrian, hope you're having a good time. But yeah, going back to this Lambda School thing, I think this is one of the most important things for today. Not today specifically, but in today's time. I think this is one of the most important things because people can't get jobs. People are in an insane amount of debt. And this has to get fixed because colleges are just so far behind. They're just not current. And anytime somebody agrees at this level where everybody's on the same side, where it's like, oh no, colleges just need to be fixed a little bit, everything's good, all these new education models aren't actually going to work, or they get too hung up on, oh, is it certified? Like, is this a certified course? Is this a certified school, Lambda school? I've never even heard of them. You're getting way too hung up on relics of the past. This is the direction it's going. And hopefully there will be more stuff like, I think apprenticing would be really good because learning under the expertise of somebody else just accelerates learning beyond belief. I mean, if, let's say somebody in chat was wanting to learn how to program, I could send them a bunch of resources. And if you were dedicated, you could learn for sure. But if you were to like shadow me and work with me at my job and see how I'm doing it and follow along, I mean, you're literally taking what would take you a year by yourself and just compressing it into like 2 or 3 months. It's invaluable. So I definitely think some stuff like that is going to make progress in the future. And then you're just going to see individual creators like really pop off, whether it's Gumroad courses, Udemy courses, Coursera, anything that can be packaged up into a small course. That's another thing is you're not going to have these big courses like SQL, just generic SQL. You're going to have very specific courses for such a specific group of people. And this is going to completely change the game. And colleges aren't going to see this coming. And everybody's going to be skeptical. And then before you know it, that's the new world that we're living in. And nobody sees it coming. All right, like I said, guys, if you're in chat, don't be scared to say hi. And also, if you have a question, just feel free to ask. If I literally know nothing about it, then I will say I don't know anything about it. But if I have some thoughts, then I'll give some thoughts on that as well. All right, another brief thing I wanted to discuss. Cryptocurrencies in today's world. Now, I'm pretty bullish on cryptocurrencies. I think they're the future. I think there is a lot of potential for cryptocurrencies, but what I specifically want to talk about with this is how careful you need to be with cryptocurrencies. There are only a handful of cryptos that I would really feel comfortable telling people to invest their money to, and I'm not going to do that. But there's only a handful that I think have some long-term potential right now. Some of the big ones that I think are, I mean, the big ones you probably know about, but I think Bitcoin has a lot of potential. I think Ethereum has a lot of potential. That's probably like the biggest one. Some other ones like maybe Bitcoin Cash, Cardano. But anything past that, once you start getting into Dogecoin, Akita coin, Shiba Inu coin, stay away. Stay away. Or at least get into it knowing exactly what you're going to do. If all you're going to do is day trade, you have plenty of money to throw around, you want to make a quick buck, go for it. But if you don't have money, you're not in a good spot in life. You should be more financially responsible. Be careful with cryptocurrencies, especially when people are tweeting about it. FaZe Banks and the esports organization FaZe Clan got into a bunch of shit recently for essentially pumping and dumping a cryptocurrency. This is the other time you need to be very, very careful with cryptocurrencies. Anytime somebody's saying, hey, I'm really optimistic about this crypto, I think you should buy it. Run. Run or don't buy it, or be very careful with what you're doing, because I see a lot of people doing this, especially if they have a lot of followers. And FaZe Banks has 2.7 million. Not too much, right? But even people I follow who have like 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 followers, they post about crypto or they post about stocks a lot. And basically what they're doing is leveraging their audience to make them more money. And I don't mean leveraging their audience in a way that I think is okay. Like if you're reading a book, you're like, hey, man, this book's really good. And then you put down an Amazon affiliate link, go for it. That's fine. But what these guys are doing with cryptocurrencies or stocks is they're saying, hey, look at this stock. This stock's only $10 right now. I think this is going to go up to $20. And then all of their followers are like, oh my God, I need to get this stock. It's going to double in price. So they buy the stock, and they're banking on the fact that their audience is big enough to move this a little bit. So they flood the market, get a bunch of people to buy this stock because they're like, it's going to go up twice the amount. And maybe it does. Maybe it goes past that. Maybe it's just under it. It gets to like $15, $16 or something like that. And then those guys just sell it all. So they weren't truly bullish on this $10 stock because they're like, dude, this is going to get up to 100. I'm going to buy it now. I'm going to hold it for the next year, year and a half, 2 years. That's not what they're doing. They're buying that stock, making it look like they're bullish on it long term, hoping you guys buy it up, drive the price up, and then they cash out. They make a quick buck. And that's exactly what these guys did. Where is it? Yeah. Bank Social, which is the crypto they were promoting. Keep in mind, this isn't one person. This is one of the biggest esports organizations around. 5.5 million followers, 29 times esports champions. These guys are good. In fact, let's pull up Twitch right now. Let's see if they're playing. Gambit, G2, Big Virtus Pro. No, but they might be later on. But if you don't follow esports, just trust my opinion. These guys are very big. And their biggest people, FaZe Banks is like the CEO, president. I mean, he's like the face of FaZe. Promotes Bank Social, this crypto coin. And it at that time, oh, actually, it was smaller back then. At the time that he made 10 grand, it was worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how far you have to go. That's a penny. It's nothing. Which is surprisingly what gets people to buy. That should be a sign this is nothing, right? Let's go to like CoinMarketCap. Whoa. Cryptocurrencies. 33,000, 2,000. Tether's tied to $1 that doesn't count. Binance, Cardano. Like even Doge is 20 cents, right? They're promoting this on their social media. I forget what the original one was. Giving away $10,000 to one lucky person that retweets, likes, and follows Bank Social, this crypto. This is a project I fuck with heavily and truly believe is the next one to pop. Based on what? I would love to give FaZe Banks the floor for 1 minute and say, describe why you fuck with Bank Social. That would be the worst minute explanation ever. I don't think he would have the most basic understanding of cryptocurrencies, of blockchains, of what each one is trying to do differently. They just hit him up. They probably gave him a ton of money. They said, hey, if you do this little tweet, we'll give you a bunch of money. And then he was like, hey, let me also cash in on this as well. So he puts, did they actually show how much he put in? So 20,000 roughly. If he made $10,000, so like I'm assuming the 4 is his profit. So he put in like 20,000 and he says he never sold it. We'll see. But either way, these guys are just getting paid money to promote some bullshit. They have no idea what it is. If you interviewed them for a minute, asked them to describe it, they would have no idea what they're talking about. And then there was also this thing that came up. I don't know how this isn't 100% clear at this point, but I had zero involvement or knowledge of this Save the Kids garbage, and neither did FaZe Clan. The people involved acted as individuals and did all that shit on their own and have been removed as a result. Yeah. So this is what happened to that crypto's price. This is probably when they tweeted about it and they were like, hey, you can make a lot of money here. And then it went way up, and then people were like, okay, I've made my money. And then everybody cashes out and it goes back to zero. Do not buy crypto because your favorite person on social media said to buy it. Do the research, find out who the team is, find out what they're doing, find out how this crypto is different than any other crypto on the market today. Then buy it, but make an informed decision. Or if you know you're just doing play money day trading, go for it. But what worries me about this is that you probably have people who are not very smart that might throw a lot of money into this stuff. I mean, it's crazy. I've heard people talk about some of the investments they make, and they'll say, oh, I threw like my entire net worth into that. Like every dollar of my savings is that. I'm like, be careful, guys. Please be careful. And I see this all the time. I see people doing it on my Twitter all the time. Now, thankfully, I don't think they're getting paid for it, but I don't think that makes it much better either. If that's your sole purpose, I mean, if you're just talking about cryptos, go for it. If you're like, man, I know Bitcoin was the talk for the longest time, but I'm not that crazy about Bitcoin. I think Ethereum is where the world's headed. That's cool. But whenever you're doing this kind of stuff, where you're promoting a certain crypto just so you can quickly make a bag or quickly make a buck, or you're getting paid for it and you're not fully disclosing it, not good. Sorry, just reading a little bit here. And it doesn't help that FaZe just kind of is always in some shit. Like, it would be one thing if this organization was like squeaky clean up until this point, but they just have drama after drama after drama. Like, it never stops. There was what was it? Oh yeah, they like signed some 11-year-old to their team. They had him like streaming on Twitch, which went against Twitch's terms of service. I think you have to be like 13 or maybe 15 or 16 to stream on Twitch. They hired this kid onto their organization, had him streaming on Twitch. Twitch was like, hey, he's underage, you can't do that. Like, how does an organization that big not know that? They have to know that. You think whenever you hear about these colleges that sign some like football prospect out of 8th grade, you think they don't know he can't play? They know exactly when he can play. They know all those eligibility requirements. They know NCAA rule books like inside and out. And FaZe hires they sign an 11-year-old to their team and they're like, go stream on Twitch. And they thought that would be okay. And it took Twitch and YouTube and all of these companies to be like, he's 11, bro. He can't do that. They're like, oh. They're just always in some shit. So be careful. And this goes for Elon too. I don't think Elon's being super malicious with what he's doing. I think he's legitimately just memeing. He might just be having a good time. But when Elon tweets about Doge and then the price goes crazy, don't expect that to last. Be very careful with this stuff. Because the thing with crypto compared to other investments is that, one, yeah, you can lose a lot of money. But with crypto, you can basically lose it all. Like if you, let's see. Whoops. Let me pull up my screen real quick. Like if you were to buy Delta stock, let's actually go max. Okay, even when it was low, it was like $5, $13. Go to the past year, 41, high of 51. Right now it's 42. Even if it tanked, it might go down like 32, 22, but it's not going to go down to 0. It's Delta. That would have to be a crazy event. So even if you put money into this, you're hoping to make a little bit more. It's not like you're going to lose everything you put into it. You might put in 1,000, walk away with 750. You're like, damn it. But with crypto, you can put in 1,000 and the next day you have fractions of a penny. That is a very real thing that can happen. And where is that chart? Where is it? Yeah. That's what can happen. This dotted red line right here is 0. Hours before. I wish there was an x-axis here so you could see how long this is. Because it would surprise me if this is like 2 hours. 2 hours you went from to the moon. I'm fucked. That's what happened with your money. So guys, be careful with this. Don't just buy cryptos because somebody says to buy it. Know what you're doing. If you're willing to play with some of your money, play with your money. But don't, especially if you're in debt, don't be like, this is my way out of debt. If you throw $100 in a Dogecoin and somehow it goes crazy, make 10,000, fine. But don't be throwing a serious amount of your free cash into something, hoping you're going to get rich off of it. This is a very, very dangerous way to do it. You're probably going to get screwed. And the more followers somebody has that's promoting this, the more likely you are to get burned. Be very careful. None of you guys in chat have any questions? You all good? I mean, I can keep talking by myself all day, but if you want to know something, if you want my opinions on something, feel free. Did you guys see that nasty leg break last night in the UFC fight? Conor broke his ankle. Ugh, that shit was so gross. Just landed on his ankle a little weird, and then it just blimp. Bone sticking through his skin almost. That shit was nasty. So gross. All right. One last thing I want to cover here. Yep, see, I told you, FaZe. They're playing in 6 minutes. They're in the lower bracket, though. So that I don't think I want to talk about. Let me see if I can find that Conor picture of his leg. It was so gross. That's him when he was like already donezo. Ugh. You think this would be like the first thing? Or is it like sensitive images? They don't show it. It was gross though. He picked up his leg and you could just see it like flopping. Ugh. That was hard to watch, man. Damn, look how far I scrolled. Hold on. Conor leg. Maybe we'll find. Yep, here you go.
Watch they come together here. Oh, he missed. They both missed. Yeah, they both missed, right?
You see that? Ugh. Ugh. Dude, it was bad. Really, really bad. Hoping he makes a decent recovery, though. All right, so last thing I want to discuss today. This book, Project Hail Mary. This might be one of the best science fiction books I think I've ever read. If you have not read Project Hail Mary, I highly recommend you read this book. Project Hail Mary is one of those books I would kind of refer to as like your introduction into a genre, or that genre book that kind of appeals to everybody. You know, there's some sci-fi books, there's some like fantasy books. Pick a genre. There are some books where you have to be really into that genre to like it. But every once in a while, something kind of transcends that genre. You know, a lot of people don't read fantasy, but something like Harry Potter comes out, they're like, "Hey, I'll check that out." Or they might not read like young adult or young adult fiction, but then you have something like The Hunger Games, and then all of a sudden everybody's reading The Hunger Games. The sci-fi version of that to me is this book, Project Hail Mary. This is a book I started reading, and the first thing I thought when I was reading it was, man, whoever wrote this book must really like The Martian. And it turns out that this guy actually wrote The Martian. So it makes a lot of sense that there were so many similarities. And I only bring up The Martian. I didn't read the book, I just watched the movie. But I had an idea of, I remembered it had been a while, but yeah, that was the first thing I thought. I'm reading this book. I'm like, damn, there's a lot of similarities here. And then I looked him up, found out, oh, same guy. So first thing that's pretty cool about this, it's going to be made into a movie. In development as a major motion picture starring Ryan Gosling. And having read the book, I will say I'm happy with that. It's not bad. But unfortunately, this is also one of those books that I can't get too into, because if you bring up anything, it kind of feels like you're already spoiling it. So I'm just going to briefly go over the Amazon description, and then I'll give a couple thoughts that I have. But if I'm being a little vague, there's a reason. Because even if it's small stuff, as you're reading the book, you're like, oh my God, this is actually like a big thing. So it says Ryland Grace is a sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth itself will perish. Very Martian-esque, right? Or just sci-fi in general. Except that right now he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of his assignment or how to complete it. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very, very long time, and he's just been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home with nothing but 2 corpses for company. His crewmates dead, his memories fuzzily returning. Ryland realizes that an impossible task now confronts him. Hurtling through space on this tiny ship, it's up to him to puzzle out an impossible scientific mystery and conquer an extinction-level threat to our species. So yeah, that's how the book starts. Again, very similar to Martian. If you read the book or you liked watching the movie and you just kind of liked that sense of almost impending doom, where you're on Mars, you have a couple of potatoes, no soil, and you're like, okay, how do I make food? Like, I need to live, and I have nothing that's really conducive to creating life, and then you have to like science your way out of it. That is like this entire book. That is Project Hail Mary, 100%. It's a little humorous. I would say it's a touch above young adult. I think it's one of those things like, if you're in junior high or high school, you could read this, but it's not like targeted towards you. And then as far as the sci-fi aspects, the reason I say that this book is kind of like the book to transcend the genre to some degree is that there are sci-fi elements, but it's not like so nerdy that if you're not into sci-fi, you're going to be turned away. Like, they get into some of the science, or I should say they get into a lot of the science. They get into the different experiments that he's doing, but it's not so nerdy that if you're not a big sci-fi dork that you're going to be checked out. You can follow along, you get the gist of what he's doing. But just one of those books, man, every other chapter, I'm just thinking, if I was in this scenario, I'd be losing my mind. I would be freaking out, just constantly in this state of borderline screaming, thinking I'm constantly fucked, thinking I'm never going to get home. It's a funny book. It's an interesting book. The details, the different interactions that happen within the book, all the different questions that are asked, even the way that this guy explains stuff. Again, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but if you just think about how much of our experience is human experience and how different life might be for somebody else, or how different perceptions might be for somebody else. Hearing him describe all of this stuff, hearing him describe the science experiments, the emotions that are going on, um, hearing him describe different human senses as the main character is like progressing through the story. He just describes and writes everything so well. There was never a point in the book where I'm like, oh, this is a hard read. This is difficult to read. It was just easy to get through the entire time. And the way he writes stuff, the way he describes it, I couldn't help but thinking this guy had like an essay that he wanted to write and he wrapped a story around it. Because some of the monologues that happen are just so good. But yeah, let me go back to this. Project Hail Mary, #1 on the Amazon charts this week. It's been #1 for 9 weeks straight. And while we're here, by the way, how much, like, Harry Potter's been around forever, dude. Forever. And look at this top list on Amazon. #2, #3, #4, #6, #7, number. All of her books except for one are in the top 10. Man, J.K. Rowling getting it done, huh? That is so impressive. That book will just never go away. That's like the Skyrim of fiction. DR, great book review, thanks. Yeah, I highly recommend checking out this book. Again, this is one of those books, if you haven't heard of it yet, you're going to. It's only a matter of time. Like The Hunger Games, when I bought The Hunger Games, I was just walking through Barnes & Noble one day. They had this cool little, those like cardboard stands, and they had The Hunger Games there. I read the back of it. I'm super into dystopian novels. I was like, this sounds awesome. I read it. Couple months later, Hunger Games is popping off. There's going to be a movie. It was like, it just came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, it was everywhere. I'm very convinced that's going to happen with this book. It's on the chart for 9 weeks. So it's gaining momentum. But now that there's going to be a movie too, and I'm super excited about this movie. Honestly, I wish they would do what do they call those? Like a series, a TV series, a limited series. Turn this book into like 6 episodes, 8 episodes, because there are so many moments where you could just end an episode and you'd be like, holy shit, what is going to happen? And to cram all of that into a 2-hour, 2.5-hour movie, I don't know. I like the series better. But with that said, I'm optimistic because I didn't read The Martian, but I really, really liked it. I remember the movie being good. And from everything that I've heard, everybody who's read The Martian and Project Hail Mary is like, this was his introduction. This was his first book. And then this one was a home run. He's like figuring it out. Not that The Martian was bad, but they're just like, you can tell he's like getting into a rhythm. So once this book starts picking up some momentum, once people start reading it, it's just going to be in the zeitgeist. People are going to be talking about it. And then the fact that they're doing a movie too, it's going to be a big one. So I'm just hoping they execute it well. And if they do it well, man, this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a really good movie. This is going to be up there with like, The Martian was pretty big, Interstellar. Um, what was that other sci-fi movie I was thinking of? There's one more. I can't remember. But yeah, this is going to be up there. They're going to like them. Or they're going to like it, I should say. But yeah, if you haven't read Project Hail Mary, highly, highly recommend it. This is my go-to sci-fi book now. If anybody's like, hey, I've never read sci-fi, I'd kind of like to check it out, boom, this is the book. And if somebody's already into sci-fi and they want another one, boom, this is it. And I recommended it to my girlfriend too. I finished reading the book. I was like, this book is amazing. But I was a little hesitant to recommend it to her because she's not a big sci-fi person. And it does get into some of the math and science a little bit. Again, not super in depth. You can follow along as a layman. But I didn't know if it was going to be just enough to bore her. So I recommended it to her, told her to read it, or told her about it. She was like, yeah, I'll read it. She could not put it down. She was like, I love this book. She loved it. So yeah, I already have two people that, well, I like it. My girlfriend liked it. And then one of my friends, I think, is almost finished with it or still reading it, but he said the same thing. He also liked it or is liking it. But yeah, Project Hail Mary, definitely worth your time. Definitely worth a read. It's only $15. You're not going to be unhappy with it. Such a good book. But anyways, guys, we've been live for almost an hour, 52 minutes. My first Sunday live stream. I'm convinced just put the book in my Amazon cart. Nice. Nice. Yeah, you're not going to be disappointed. It's just a very approachable, easy read sci-fi with an amazing story, amazing characters. I was reading the book, pissed that it was going to end. It's one of those books where it was like, on one hand, I wanted to keep reading it to finish it, but then I was also like, I kind of want to take my time because I don't want this to end. So, yeah, it was one of those moments, which is always great with a book or with a TV show where you want to finish it and you don't want to finish it at the same time. All right, guys. Any questions for me? Closing in on an hour right now. Also, if you're interested at all, let me pull it up. Change my screen. If you go to twitch.tv/clo5ure, I've been live streaming me drumming on that Twitch channel. So if you care to watch me drum, I go live on Thursdays and Saturdays at 3 o'clock. Been drumming there. And then, yeah, like I said, I'm going to keep doing these live streams on Sunday. Just queue up whatever it is that I want to talk about, and I'll talk about those on these live streams. And then, of course, if you're watching, feel free to watch or ask me questions. If there's anything you want me to react to, comment on, I'm more than happy to do so. But yeah, the channel's back. I know it was previously the Adam Morgan Show. Now I'm using my gamer tag / online handle clo5ure. So clo5ure is back on YouTube. Be doing YouTube videos as well because I just can't stop. Even when I wasn't doing it, I would be going about my day. I'm like, oh, that'd be a good video. Think of something or see something. I'd be like, dude, good video. I should do something on that. So yeah, I'll be getting back to it. Richard Riffle, bro, that's a sick drum setup, man. Thank you. I'll show you something real quick, just to show you guys what I've been doing on Twitch. And yeah, I'll show you guys what it looks like for real, for real. Yeah, so that's what the room actually looks like. And then if I do, whoops, the green screen, then that's my studio. But hold on. Here it is. Here's my Instagram. Oh, this might blast our ears. So yeah, I have the drum sets wired up to the computer in front of me, and then the computer in front of me has some visualization software. So anytime I hit the drums and I'm playing along to music, I have all these visuals that kind of react to it. Kind of wanted it to look like a EDM set or like a VJ set. So yeah. So yeah, if you guys want to follow me on Twitch, greatly appreciated it. Same username as my Twitch profile, clo5ure. The five is an or the S is a five. Sorry, I keep saying that incorrectly. But yeah, every Thursday and Saturday live on there at 3 o'clock Eastern, and then Sundays I will be live on YouTube doing this whole live stream, chatting about nonsense. Still trying to nail down a time. It's probably going to be like 2 or 3 p.m. Eastern. But if you want to just be notified whenever I go live, just subscribe to the channel and you'll be taken care of there. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Richard, thanks for the awesome compliments on the drum setup. Respect to you. But yeah, this is fun. I will see you guys next Sunday. Later.